started the business single. At the moment, I wasn't married. I remember one day my uncle and my aunt, which are platinums in the business, Eddie and Violeta Palayo, he kept on insisting, hey, Anthony, I have an opportunity for you. And I told him, what kind of opportunity? He says, you buy products and you get paid for it. I'm like, I don't have time. Every time he would tell me, Anthony, come with me. And it doesn't make sense. Why would I order products over the internet and wait a day or two for it to come through the mail when I could just buy it directly from the store? He's like, but you're not seeing the whole picture. You're not seeing you're just going to switch stores. And especially you don't have time. You're always busy. And I told him, no, I'm okay. At the moment, I was a LED programmer, which it's programming signs that are LEDs that are all over the freeways. And I remember that I thought I was doing okay because I was single at the moment, making $5,000-$6,000 a month. But before I get more into that detail, I want to tell you a little bit about where I come from. I come from a really, really, really poor family. We were so poor that they would send me to the store to buy tortillas. A lot of people might not know what a tortilla is in here, but it's like a flatbread where you put beans and rice. So they would send me to the store to buy tortillas with pennies and quarters, and to me it was embarrassing. To give you a little bit more idea of how poor we were, they went to a school 1 year in elementary where a couple said, we want to sponsor the most poorest family in this school. Actually, we want to take a kid and take them shopping to be able to buy them some socks, some shoes, and some pants. So they chose that family, and guess what? That family was me. Well, that kid was me. For me, it was embarrassing at the time. I was 9 or 10 years old. It was embarrassing just the fact to know that I was that kid that was poor. But when they took me shopping to Target, the reason why I mention it is because we're partners with them. So at the time, I didn't know, that existed. But so they took me there and they bought me shoes, they bought me socks, and they bought me pants. At the moment, I was so glad, I was joyful. And that I said to myself, when I grow up, I want to do the same thing for poor kids, So that was one of my dreams as I was growing up. We were really poor that my dad would drive places, and I grew up in Baldwin Park next to El Monte in California. And there, a lot of people, how they make their living is selling flowers and oranges off the freeway. So I would ask my mom and my dad, why do these people sell oranges and flowers? They're like, because these people don't have the opportunity to work on a regular job. They don't have the right papers to do that kind of work that other people do. I'm like, how much money do these people make? And I remember she would tell me they make about 50 cents to $1. And I told Mom, but why do they work then? Because they don't have a choice. It's either that or beg for money. In my heart, again, I told myself, when I grow up, I want to get a warehouse where I could give all these people work and they don't have to be selling oranges in the hot weather and flowers. So that was in my heart. As I grew up, as you know, we fall into this routine, work, home, work. And I grew up and I turned 18. And I remember I told myself, now I'm going to work hard and get a good job because I went to high school and I graduated. So to me, I thought the future was great and bright. So I remember I graduated. Little did I know that I couldn't get a good job because at the moment I didn't have papers. At the moment they brought me, I remember that I didn't know this. I didn't know the difference between having a good job and not if you had, But I remember I ended up, my first job was working as unloading containers. And as people would leave to lunch and break, I would tell myself, I didn't graduate from high school to unload containers. That's not for me. It's nothing bad. I don't have nothing against with nobody that does that. But I told myself, I didn't work so hard to graduate for that. So as they would leave for lunch or break, I would jump in the forklift and I would train myself because I knew that those people got $1 extra. So as time went on, I told the supervisor, hey, I know how to drive a forklift. Can you give me an opportunity because I would like to make more money. And he okay, show me. So he gave me the chance. I got the job. So I started climbing the corporate ladder to the point where I got to be a supervisor. And then from there on, I told myself, that's it. I'm never going to work as an unloading containers and driving forklift. From here on, it's supervisor and up. And thank God, like they say, dream big. So from there on, I started becoming manager of these big corporations. And I was able to fix my paperwork legally in this country because I came when I was 1 year old. My dad's from Michoacan, my mom's from Veracruz, and they just had me in Mexico when I was 1 year old. They brought me here. So when I used to hear the system in Spanish, I couldn't really relate to people with their Spanish story. Even though I was from Mexico, I couldn't relate it because thank God I was raised here in the United States, which I'm thankful and grateful for this country. And as I was able to do that, I thought I had it good because, I started having good money. They would send me to Francisco. They would send me to Las Vegas. They would pay for everything. Remember, I used to program these LED signs. But I would also help my uncle. Well, he's not my uncle, but I would call him like an uncle. He had nightclubs. I also started being a promoter where I would take care of contracting the singers and big name singers. And then I remember I would just do that Saturday and Sundays because he was getting old. He started losing all his businesses because he couldn't remember to pay the bills and stuff. So I started helping him because I didn't want him to end up losing everything else. So there is where I met my wife, and she'll get into more detail on that. So, and it's funny because I remember I would tell myself, I would never marry a woman that I meet in a nightclub. Guess what? I ended up getting married to one, which I'm grateful and thankful for. And that's why they say, never say never, right? Anyway, so getting back to the story, falling into that routine, I forgot all about, getting that warehouse, helping these kids, the same thing they did for me. Since mom kept on insisting, and I'm like, I would always criticize them, tell them things. That's why I tell you, do not criticize anybody, because the world goes around, and everything you do with the left hand, it'll end up coming back to the right hand, okay? So one day he tells me, Anthony, get ready. Why am I going to get ready? He's like, because we're going to go eat sushi and some carne asada. And yeah, get ready. I'm going to pass for you. I'm like, okay, how do I go dress? He tells me, just the way you are. I'm like, okay, perfect. And it was a Tuesday. And we ended up going to, at that time, we had to open in San Dimas, California. And at the moment, he took me, and they were clapping. You could hear the music. And I'm like, oh, man, it sounds good. It's going to be a party and everything, right? And I remember as we were coming, and they're clapping. I'm like, oh, wow, somebody must be dancing or this contest or something. And as I was approaching the door, like, yay, welcome. They're high-fiving me, and there's even people hugging me. Congratulations, champ. Well, it's nice to see you. I'm like, what did he bring me to? These people are hugging me. To me, I was scared because my family, the only time I ever got a hug was when it was Christmas and really far away like this. It was sad, and at the moment I thought that was weird, people hugging me. But believe it or not, that's something why I stayed in the business. I like that. I like the closeness that we had with the IBOs, the downlines, the cross lines. They would come and they would just encourage you, and I love that. So anyway, so he sits me down. I was mad, crossed my legs, I crossed my arms, crossed my mind. I'm like, oh man, watch when we get out. He's gonna get it. So I was there watching that plan, and I remember I was mad. The guy kept on talking, and he got to a point with $9 be good. I'm like, man, this guy's just talking for $9. $9. I mean, and he's like, do you think it's good? $9, 3% by switching products. And he told him, no, it's not good. I was mad. Remember, and he's like, okay, give me those $9. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to give you $9. Like, they're good, huh? Like, yeah, if you see that, they're kind of good. So anyway, so he gets to the point where he starts opening my dream. He's like, and at that moment, remember, I was single, and I would get good money, but I would never have no money in my bank because I was always blow it, waste it. So remember, I used to love renting like Ferraris, Lamborghinis to try to show off and live a life that I did not have. So at the moment he asked me, what's your dream? I'm like, I want to own a Ferrari. And he's like, you could do it. And I felt good. And then my attitude started changing. I started uncrossing my legs and hands. Like, you could do it, Anthony. I believe in you. One day you're going to be up here. And I'm like, oh, that makes me feel good. Yes, I want to be up there, you know? So that's how I ended up getting in the business. I remember my uncle I wanted to sell him a TV that same day. Before he took me to the carne asada, which I ended up being in the open, he told me, hey, I got a flat TV. I want to sell it to you. Like, how much you want? $500. I'm like, okay. And then when we got back to my house, he's like, okay, I'll buy the TV off you. And he told me, but here's a ticket for the convention, and you get and minus $62 for your application, because at the moment it was $100 and something. So it ended up being almost like $100 and something. So he sponsored me, and he only gave me like $200 cash. The other $3 was for the business. Little did I know that was going to happen, but I'm grateful, and I thank God every day for that, because now one day I'm in this business, and I'm here with you guys, and I have a beautiful wife, and thanks to the system, this business has changed my life in a lot of ways that you guys don't have no idea, and it has the same thing for you guys. So I remember that going to these opens for a year. Time went on. I didn't do nothing. I would just come and just clap and clap and clap at people's success, and I would be yeah whatever, you know. And I would buy some products. He would give me the system. I would not read it. I would get that book and throw it in my dresser, and the CDs, I would not listen to them. Until one day I started listening to them, because he told me, oh, listen to this. He promoted it so good to me. That's why I tell you guys, listen to the system. Uplines, promote to your downlines. Promote the system, because that's what's going to build their credibility in this business. So I started listening to it. I started liking it. And then I remember I was a promoter as well for that nightclub. And that's why I met my wife. I met her 3 months. And then we ended up getting married. But she'll get more into that. It saved my marriage. And the reason that it saved our marriage was because we got married 3 months, and then the first week we almost ended up getting divorced because of the system we have out there. You know, we couldn't. It was just love in the beginning, but then when we really got to live together, it was something different. So I remember that the third time we were about to get divorced, she gave me paperwork. I signed them. Here you go. I don't want to deal with this no more. And then she hugs me. She tells me, never mind. I don't want to get divorced. No, give me a chance. So I told her, okay. And I remember that in this business, they kept on saying, thanks to the system, changed their lives, and thanks to the system. And I'm like, I remember that. I'm like, you know what? I really want to be married to this woman. So I told her, okay, come with me. And we ended up going to an open and changed her life too, in the way that she ended up doing the business with me. But I really don't want to tell her story. So she could tell it. It's pretty good. You'll like it. Down the road, I remember coming to these functions, to these meetings, to these plant meetings. I remember that my dream wasn't a Ferrari. I started noticing that that's not my Ferrari. That Ferrari was in my dream, because I would not get up the damn couch to go and show the plant. I would not do the things that I had to do because the Ferrari could wait, or I could just go and rent one, right? So I started this telling me, what's your dream? That your dream is not a car. If you have to find a dream really deep in your heart, something that hurts, something that's going to get you and do something different. And I remember my parents were still, we were still poor. Remember, I was still poor. I was just living a life that it wasn't my life. I was just, I didn't know how to manage my money and time. So I remember that I told myself, that's not my dream. My dream is to get a warehouse, to own a warehouse, to help get people a real good, decent job, to help these poor kids, because I was really poor one day, and I was still poor. I don't want to be poor no more. I remember my upline would come at the moment, a platinum would tell me, you got to cut those chains of poverty. You have to cut those chains. And I would hate it when she would tell me that. I'm like, oh, man, I hate this. Don't tell me this, because it reminded me how I was still poor. I remember my dream, and my dream was that. And, I tell you this because I want you to understand that the system from Team Vision changes life. It changed my life. I remember I started doing this business first, and I remember that's my dream. I started connecting myself to the system. I started listening to CDs. The business, it opened up my dream again from my heart. And I remember reading books, listening to CDs, reading books. It reminded me so bad about that I started saving up money. I ended up partnering up with my sister. And remember, thanks to the system of Team Vision, I ended up partnering up with my sister. And I told her, you know what? Let's open up a warehouse. I'm tired working for somebody. At the moment, I was 26, I believe. And I had told myself, when I turn 28, I'm not going to work for nobody, especially because they tell you here, like, who do you want to work for yourself? And it got to my heart so bad, I'm not going to work for nobody at 28. I don't care if I'm homeless, living under a bridge, but I'm not going to be working for nobody, right? So I remember I told my sister, let's do this. And she's like, are you sure? And I told her, yes. But then at the moment, I remember that the people at the warehouse, the owners, they're not the ones who control who they get to hire. It's the agency. I don't know if you guys have agencies out here, but over there it's called staffing agencies, where you give work to people. So I told her, you know what, never mind, let's do the staffing agency. She goes, but you don't know anything about it. I'm like, don't worry, I'll learn it in a couple of months, 6 months. So I ended up applying for an agency. I was a manager there. I learned the whole system. I learned how they process payroll. I learned the whole, shebang, the whole thing. So I remember I told her, okay, I'm ready, let's do this. So we ended up doing this, and thank God nowadays I have 4 years. I do not work for nobody. That's one of my dreams that came true because of the system. And remember, the owners would come to me and be like, and what makes you different than from these other staffing agency, blah, blah, blah. They try to intimidate you. But remember, at the time, I already had system. And I told them, you know what, you're going to be dealing with me. I'm the owner, and this is the benefits, dealing with me. You have to cut the middleman, which is the manager, and they don't answer your phone. So it gave me that credibility on myself that I could run a big business. Again, thanks to Team Vision. And nowadays, I give a job to whoever I want. We have about 500 employees under our company. We staff a lot of people, and actually we were able to help Mr. Relas get places like this for seminars. So it's a lot of things that God has blessed us, but remember, I had to change the knowledge I had in my head first. If not, I think I tell myself, imagine if I wouldn't have started this business, I would have probably ended up in the streets, because remember, I was a promoter and I used to like to drink a lot. And especially I had to drink. I was kind of forced to drink a lot because the thing was to promote and sell drinks and stuff like that, right, at the nightclub. So people would come, hey, Anthony, here, have a beer. Hey, Anthony, have a shot with me. So you can't say no. What you want is to sell more stuff so the business obviously could do better, right? So I remember I would end up driving my motorcycle all the way to San Valley, which is like about an hour and a half. And I would drive back home. And sometimes I would end up in my bed and be like, hey, how did I get here? Oh, my bike, they're going to steal it out there. And I would go to my garage, and boom, there was my bike. And I'm like, oh, my God, I drove all the way out there, all the way to my house like this. And I always tell my wife, I don't know why, but God, I feel like pampered from him, because I did a lot of things not the right way, but thank God I never got into trouble with the law. And he has blessed us in a lot of ways. But another way I have been blessed because of the system and this opportunity is because, I remember that I was that little kid that was poor. So I told him, and since we started making that money, and I started doing this account, so we started helping these poor kids. And I went back, and remember that year, like 3 years ago, right, babe? 3 years ago, we ended up going back to the same school that I went to, that they chose me. And I told the principal, and they still remember, oh, hey, how are you? You grown up, blah, 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 right? And I remember I told them, remember how was that kid that they chose me because I was that poor kid? Like, yeah, and I started telling them that my life had changed, and the stuff that this business had done for me, and I was able to turn my life around. I want to sponsor 5 kids, and I want to take them Christmas shopping. And the look in their eyes was like, wow, And to me, just to have those kids go with us and able to buy them clothes, pants, and toys, it was priceless, But remember, you're not going to be able to do a lot of great things in life if you do not change the way you think, the way you do things right now. If you still doing what you did 10 years ago and you did not like those results, change. Change the way you think, the way you interact with people. Make sure you get connected with the system. Believe me, this business is going to change your lives like you have no idea. But the most important thing also, this is not about religion. This is my belief. Get good with God, I tell you, do the things right. Good things will come back to you. Just thinking about those moments, it brings me joy in my heart because we're able to bless a lot of people. Just like I was listening to your Emeralds, and the way she sent her mom to this trip to Europe, it's something that I know in their heart. I'm sure it's priceless to see your parents smile and tell you what her mother was telling her how happy she was. And something similar we did with our parents, and my parents and my wife will get into that a little bit more right now when I pass you on to her. And not just before I give you to my wife, I just want to tell you, dream big, because dreams do come true. Believe me, I want to almost promise you your life's going to change if you do different things and connect yourself to a system, but I cannot promise you that. I tell you, this night when you go home, get right with your wife or your significant other. If you're single, get right with yourself. Plan, set goals, make things happen, because nobody else is going to come and do the work for you. You got to do it for yourself. Your upline is going to be there to mentor you, but he's not going to do the work. I tell you, you take that decision. And I want to hear your story. I want to come back to Dallas, Texas, and I want to hear your story, and I want to hear you. Hopefully that our story impacted you and we made a difference in your heart. And we love you guys once again, because I know that one day I was in that chair. I'm telling you, I'm your future and you were my past. You guys could be up here if you really take that decision. And here's my beautiful wife so she can continue.
Wow. It's an amazing story that my husband has, and he's always been the one with the vision, and I also thank him because, he always has a vision, and he always knows where he wants to take me and our family. And well, just to tell you a little bit about myself, I was born in California, a city called Van Nuys, California, and my parents immigrated to the United States at an early age too, so I was never, when I started the business, I didn't really connect because, they immigrated at an early age, but when I was born, they were already here for a while, and I was born here, so when I would hear the stories in Spanish, the system in Spanish, I couldn't really relate because I was like, well, I don't know, I didn't come from another country, or I don't know how, what they go through, and so it was really kind of hard because I was the one that I didn't want to do it, listen to the system. But going back, though I come from California, I wasn't poor, but I wasn't rich either. I was okay, but my mom always told us, because we're six of us, with 5 girls and 1 boy, and she always told us, the girls, go to school and finish school and do something and be something, and us, they teach us, when you grow up, in school they teach you, what do you want to be when you grow up? Do you want to be a doctor? Do you want to be a dentist? So my mom always implicated that to us, do something, in your life. I don't have the chance because I wasn't born here, but you guys do. You guys have the chance to be something. Well, what I wanted to be was a doctor. I said, well, I want to be a doctor, a pediatrician doctor. And she said, well, you can do it. You could be a pediatrician doctor. So as I grew up, I always kept that in my mind. I went to school. I finished school. When I was about almost 18, well, my mom wasn't well, and things happened, and well, it was her time, and God took her. So at 18, I didn't have my mom anymore. But before she had gone, she would talk to us, and she would tell us, because she was already really, really ill. She had like 2 years really ill. So I don't know, she felt it, so she's like, I'm going to be gone soon, so all I want you to leave you with, is to be something. Do something for your life, Be something, be something, mija. Don't just stay working. Go for your dream, And I was like, Mom, don't tell me these things. Dijo, yes, mija, you have to accept it, I feel it. She would tell me, I feel it, and you can't be sad. I don't want you guys to be sad. I don't want you guys to cry. And she told us, I want you guys, when I go, I don't want you guys dressed up in black. I want you guys all to dress up in white, because I'm gonna go, with God. It's something good. Don't be sad. And, I'm like, Mom, don't tell me. But, fortunately, she did, God took her, but that always stayed in my heart, do something for myself, be something. So I went into CNA program that they had offered. And at that time, I had already, had a child. So I was a single mom, and I had a child, and then I was a single mom, and I went to do a CNA program, and I became a CNA, and then, I didn't become the doctor pediatrician, but I wanted to work with kids, and I had already one on my own, and I liked that, so I said, in CNA, you have to like work in hospitals, and there wasn't really much opportunity, so then I went into medical assistant. So I found out where I can do something that I can work with kids. Because I already had a child, it was hard for me to go back and go full time and be like the pediatrician doctor that I wanted to be. But I said, well, I could be a medical assistant and then work in the pediatrician office as a medical assistant. So I did. I went into school and I started my schooling for pediatrician. For a medical assistant. When I met my husband, that I went to a nightclub. He was there as a manager. What I liked a lot about him was he was a visionary. He had a vision. He said, I want someone, as we started in our relationship, he's like, I want to be something in life. I want to be successful and things like that. So. I don't know, but when you feel it when, I don't know, like I don't know if it happened to you, ladies that have husbands, but like, I don't know if you feel like that's the one, like you do have like this feeling that he's the one or he's the correct one, because I was already, like I said, I had someone already and had a son, but it didn't feel, so, obviously also it didn't work, but with him it was different. And there was that, I don't know, that feeling that he's the one, So we went to, we had this, I don't know, I had this crazy thing that because we connected so much and, we had a lot of things in common, and I was like, no, he's the one. I asked him to marry me. I was the one after 3 months of seeing each other. Like, I was like, I'm not gonna let him go. So I asked him to marry me, and he was kind of hard on me because he's like, no, you have to prove to me that, So, we when we did a little crazy trip. We went to Vegas, and boom, we got married. And that's why, like he says, why is it so easy to get married? You just pay, I don't know, it was 60 something and you pay and that's it, you're married. But they don't teach us, they don't teach you like a class or, look, you have to treat your husband with respect, you have to be like this with him, he has to show you love. You guys have to, what's going to happen in marriage. They don't teach us that. It's just like, oh, sign here. Okay, congratulations, you're married. But for when you have to go to school, when you have to become something, we have to go and learn and do classes and then, years and then graduate, right? And I was like, why isn't it like that for marriage? It's just like here and you're married. So we did it like that. We were married. We moved to, he took me to Chino, which is in about an hour and a half from where I lived. So I moved completely. I brought my son with me, and that's where we started our life. And from start, he didn't no more over there, and it was still a struggle, for the first year, and then because of that struggle, then I was going to school over there, so I just transferred my medical assistant, and I did complete my medical assistant. So I was able to accomplish my medical assistant, and I did work at a pediatrician, so that was something good. And then when we moved, and it was, it's a struggle, but we didn't really knew each other. Then he introduces me to the business. So I went to my first I didn't question it. He just said, because he's, as you can see, he's choleric. So he's like, come on, we're going to go somewhere, come with me. And I didn't question him. So we went, and it was an open, and it was really full. There was a lot of people. And I was always a shy person, even though I was a shy person. And I was always like embarrassed to talk to people, or mostly in front of people. So that day he's like, go sit in the front. It was really full. You can barely stand on the back. And I remember Siriaco and Mercedes Vargas, the Emeralds, they were giving the plan. And he's like, go in the front because you're an invite, you're new. I'm like, no, I'm not going to go in the front. Yes, go. I'm like, no, how embarrassing. He's like, why is it embarrassing? No, I don't want to. He's like, go. So there I go. I'm walking with my head down because my self-esteem was really low. So I was walking like this, I'm like, oh my God, how embarrassing. People are looking at me. What are they going to say? Oh my God, what if I trip? You start putting all these things in your head because you're like, your self-esteem, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I'm like, okay, hurry. And then I sit down. I sat right in the front, and I saw the information. I didn't understand the truth, anything. And I just, until the part when Siriaco and Mercedes said, at this business, it can help you in your marriage. It can help you in your relationship. And thanks to the business, it helped me understand, and that caught my attention. I said, wow, we were struggling, I didn't understand him. He didn't understand me. I was like, then this can be a help for us. And then whatever this is going to be good then. Then we started, together, but I wanted to fix our marriage and everything, and then they were telling me, listen to the audios, read the books, and it's gonna help your marriage. But I guess I wanted it to be like, from day to night, If I read it, if I listened to 2 audios, it was gonna help me. And if I read half of the book, it was gonna help me. And no, it didn't. I wasn't doing it consistently. I would do it like sometimes and sometimes not. And I was expecting, results. But it wasn't happening. Why? Because then I wasn't compromised 100%. So our marriage wasn't still working. So then I was like blaming it. No, this is not even helping. And I don't understand the other way because I didn't really relate to the people. But then when I started listening also to audios that it would help people's marriage, I was like, well, how is it going to help them by listening to audios? How is that going to help me? But then I realized, well, because if they went through it, then I'm going through it, and if I keep going, it's going to help me. Somehow I'm going to understand it, and it's going to help me. And it did, and until we both decided, and we both, started reading more books, I started listening to the audios, I started being a better person to my husband, I started understanding him, I learned that when was the time to be quiet, because, sometimes women, they tell us something and we like to talk back, talk negative, we don't be like, yeah, or they'll tell you something, no, I don't want to, or, I would do that and he wouldn't like it. So I learned when to not speak, and I learned when I could say something, because we also, as women, we also have, our right to have an opinion, but I learned when was the right way and when wasn't, and I learned how to respect him because I didn't respect him, the way that he deserved to be respected. And he learned how to, feel my love language as well, because we all have different love languages, and sometimes that's another problem, that we don't understand each other's love language, or we're filling in the wrong love language. So if you're not filling the love language tank the correct way, then sometimes that's why it's hard for each other to understand each other, I was also able to figure that out. So it has helped me a lot, the system in our marriage and in me personally, because like my husband said earlier, I wouldn't even ask people, at the store when I would like an outfit or a shirt from the mannequin, to tell me, to help me find the shirt or my size. I was that embarrassed, no, because I would always put things in my mind. What if she tells me, what if this or what if that, But no, thanks to the system, thanks to the audios, the books, and coming to the events and seeing other people here and talking and giving their story and how their life was and how their self-esteem was, helped me. helped me grow as well and as a woman, to value myself, that I'm worth, that we women are worth as well, Sometimes people out there want to put us down, but no, we're worth a lot as well. So it really helped us a lot. And from there, we decided, when we really committed together and decided as a couple, like he said, because we were doing it but not 100% like it's supposed to be, then that's when the things happened. That's when also we started having children, and then we would tell our children, when we're gonna do when we go to this level, we're going to take you here, or we're going to do this because we're going to go over here, and then they start growing up and they then tell you, what happened? Why haven't you gotten there? When are we going to go? So when we talked and decided that we were going to do this the right way, that we couldn't wait any longer because our kids were growing, and then our parents were getting old, and I only had my dad when I really, because since how I told my dad I lived an hour and a half, so I didn't really see him that much, because he's always working, But when I saw him after a while, he was older, more wrinkles, more white hair. You can see he's tired already because he's getting older, and I was like, I have to do this. I had told my dad when we started the business and we were doing it, I said, Dad, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna retire you. I'm gonna do it for you. Hi, mija. He's like, he wouldn't believe me. Like, he didn't believe that I was really, gonna retire him. He's like, okay, you do it. Do it for you. I'm okay. I don't have to be retired. And I'm like, no, he's not. He's getting older. So that got into my heart as well, because I said, I don't have my mom now. It's only my dad, and it's only a couple of years that, who knows when he's going to be gone. So when we committed and we decided and we put ourselves together and we drew that, I myself actually, because he was always, willing to do the things. So he always had that vision. He said, we can do so much, but I need your support. I need you to be on the same page as me, because I wasn't on the same page as him either. And when I decided and I sat down and I did the map, and I said, we have to do this. And we talked, then that's when the things happened. That's when everything started happening, and we started qualifying, and now we're here. We're here telling you our story and telling you that you can do it as well, that we want to hear your story. We want to hear how you started. We are going to have struggles. Everybody has struggles. So are you, but don't let all the struggles, bring you down, or don't let negative people, like, we were saying earlier, like Mrs. Deval was saying, don't let them bring you down or discourage you to do this business, because they don't know, or they haven't seen what you've seen, Maybe they don't have a dream. Maybe their dream is, it's dead, and they don't have a dream, but they don't know that you have a dream. They don't know that what you're fighting for. So fight for it. Like my husband said, like when you fight for your significant other, I don't know, like how you would fight if you're single, how you would fight for your parents. You wouldn't want nothing to happen to your parents, so I'm sure you would fight for them, for anything. So fight for your dream. Do this business, and one day you're gonna be up here and tell us your story, or one day you're gonna go to California. We're gonna see you, and we're gonna hear your story. We're gonna hear how you got there. And we want you to do that. We want to hear your story as well. So I'm going to leave you here with my husband so he can just show you a little, introduce to you our family and tell you a little bit about the trips that we've taken thanks to this business. Here goes Anthony.
How are you guys still doing? Did you guys fall asleep? Oh, okay, good. Okay, so a little bit ourselves. Let's move on past the sad stuff and a little bit of our rewards and trips. We've taken trips to a couple of places. We've been to Washington, D.C. While we were in Washington, D.C., we got to stay out there almost a week before we went. And we took a tour. We went to Maryland, Virginia. And if you see, there's us in the bus. It's a tour bus, and they took you... they take you to everywhere. It's pretty cool. And then we got to go to Michigan to the headquarters. And while we were there on the way back, we stopped on Denver and we got to explore a little bit there. This is Michigan here too. That's one of the jets from DeVos. They have their own section, their own little private airport section where he has a couple of 5 private jets, 2 helicopters. So man, you guys do not know in what business you guys are in, because if you did, you guys would be at least an emerald and diamond. We didn't know, believe me. Now we know, and believe me, our goal hopefully is to be back as sapphires September or in October, because now we experience a little bit of the fruits that Amboy has. And man, you go to Michigan, everything's mostly owned by the Boss family. They have hospitals after hospitals. They have their own hotel. They got their own Starbucks inside that hotel. And man, it's just incredible how beautiful Michigan is. And I was even thinking of moving out there. I was telling my wife, I love this so much. That's our family. This is our new addition to our family. This is our boy, and that's our daughter, our other daughter. Our baby was the baby, Luna, but now we have our little boy, Anthony. He's so cute. And it's been a joy. We're so blessed because we can't ask for anything else in this life. I feel like everybody in here are diamonds. We just have the wrong information. God had made us clean, pures, but down the road and on the way, as growing up, we got intoxicated with bad information. Like a computer, we got a lot of viruses in there. So again, the system makes miracles. So here's our daughter, Luna, once again. The most beautiful thing, again, thanks to the system of Team Vision, thanks to it, and you're gonna hear me say it again and again and again and again. It changed my life. Thanks to that, I haven't got to an emerald where I could say I got retired from a job because I'm an emerald, but thanks to the system, I was able to build a couple of businesses where I'm free and I don't depend on the job. So we spend now time of quality with our kids. We get to see them 24/7 dressing up, doing crazy things that we would not be able to do if we had a job. We get to go to, I think this is Disneyland or Knox. We get to go if it's Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. Whenever the kids want to go, we take them. I want you to welcome back my wife so she can explain a little bit more of the rewards.
Was just some of the rewards and the things that we get to do. Thanks to this business, like we have time to go with our kids, again, whenever we want, to the beach. We get to go to their graduation. Here's our son's graduation, and he got a trophy. Remember, what your kids see you doing, they also, you're their example, so they're gonna do what you do. Right here, he got a reward for being one of the top readers in his school. Why? Because they see us reading, so he also, they promote in school reading as well. So he also reads. He doesn't say like, oh, I don't want to. No, because he sees us, he's like, I want to be a businessman also when I grow up. And then we tell him that you have to read a lot. You have to read and read. And he has a frame in his room. It says by Dr. Seuss, I think, the more you read, the more places you'll go. And he has it there, so we tell him, see, you can do it. So he did it. He was able to get top 5 from his school for reading, and we were able to attend there. Thanks to the business that gave us the time. I was able to go to my daughter's field trip. She went to the capital of California, Sacramento, and then she also got an award here. I don't remember for what it was, but. Those are the great things that this business brings, quality time with your kids, going to their, attending to their events. It's sad how sometimes we would go to these events and you see kids, with their heads like this, like looking around, waiting for their parents to come in. And then they don't see them. And then you can see their sad faces because they didn't show up. Why? Because they have to work. They couldn't get out of work to come and see their kids. But with this business, you can have that time. You can have that time and go whenever your kids are, getting awarded, or go wherever you want, when it's not busy on the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays when everybody's there. You can go whenever you want. another of the things that we did, we went to, we took him to SeaWorld. But one of our things that we did was when we got married, right? And he never gave me my honeymoon. So I told him, as my I want to go to Hawaii for my honeymoon. So we said, okay, when we reach platinum, we can go to Hawaii, you know? And then it was coming already, you know, we started the qualification, you know, you get all these wonderful bonuses. And so we said, we'll do it, you know, because, you know, you never gave me my honeymoon. But then my mother-in-law, you know, she had suffered, you know, about a year ago, an aneurysm. I don't know if many of you know what that is. So, you know, thank God she survived from it. You know, it was a miracle. It was, you know, like we say, hard times will come, but you have to be there active. So then she survived. She was, you know, she went through it. Everything was good. And a year after, she's here, but she's never gone anywhere but, you know, where her dad is from, in Mexico. That's the only place she has traveled to. So she was telling my sister-in-law, wow, I wonder when am I gonna be able to travel, you know, because before I die, I want to travel the world. I want to travel places before I die. So my sister-in-law mentioned that to us, and she's like, my mom, she told my husband, our mom said this, you know, let's do something. Let's try to plan something for her because, you know, she's saying that she wants to go to places and she can, you know, because, you know, she's not eligible to work anymore. So she doesn't work. So I heard that, and since, you know, I don't have my mom, but, you know, his parents are also like my parents. So I talked to him and I told him, you know what, babe, let's send your parents to Hawaii. So I'll wait, you know, till when we reach Emerald, we can go to Hawaii. But we don't know how long your parents have, you know, and I'm willing to, you know, let's give that trip to them. Instead of giving it to us, give it to them. And wow, oh my God, like Mrs. Deval said, you don't know how happy they were. We told them like a month ahead, you know, like she was like a little girl, like, oh my God. And she was going like to the stores every day, getting, you know, showing us, look at the earrings I bought for Hawaii and the shirts. And she was very happy. And I was very happy inside of me that I was, you know, able to do something for her, you know, that I was able to do something for my husband's parents, you know. And here they are. They send us pictures. We send them for 5-6 days, and we paid for, you know, for everything for them. You know, we even gave them a helicopter drive and ride, and you can just. They keep just sending us everyday pictures, like his mom and to us, like, look where we are, look what we saw, look this, look that. It's so beautiful. Oh my God, you don't imagine. And seeing all those pictures and everything that she was sending us, like Mrs. Deval said, it's like, it makes you happy inside and joyful that you, for doing something different, you were able to give, you know, that. Maybe it wasn't her dream, but she wanted to do a, you know, trip. So we were able to give her that trip. And also, thanks to this business, I always in school, you know, you study about, you know, the presidents and history and all that stuff. And I always wanted to see the Abraham Lincoln statue, you know. That was one of my things. I said, oh, how cool is that, you know? But I never thought in my life that I was going to actually go and see it. So that's why I put it up here, because that's one of my things that I always wanted to see. And with this business, you guys are able to do it. You guys are able to know that, you know, or Washington, D.C. and all the history things that you learn in school, you get to see it in person. You get to see the monument. You get to see the Civil War stuff, you know, all those things. You can do it. You young people, especially that you guys are young. Imagine if you guys are, 18, 19, in a year before you're 21, you'll be financially free. How cool would that be? You know, you could get to travel everywhere, and they get to travel the Emeralds everywhere. Like she said, she's traveled through the whole United States. It's amazing, because even though we're born here, like I was born here, I never traveled around from out of my little city over there in the San Fernando Valley, they call it. Where would I travel to? Oh, to the local beach. Where would I travel to? To the local park. You know, why? Because our parents didn't have that financial money to send us out. And for the ones that do have it, then you should do it even faster, because you've seen that this country has a lot of opportunities. So for us, I think that for me, that's it. I just want to tell you that, you guys can do it. And remember, have that dream. Have that dream really inside your heart and fight for it. Don't let nobody tell you otherwise. Don't let nobody kill that dream for you, because anybody can do it. If I'm up here and I was shy and I did not talk to anybody and I didn't dress like this either, then all you guys can do it as well. And I leave you here, my husband, Anthony.
Pretty much we're going to wrap this up. But before we let you guys go, I want to tell you, remember when they presented us the presenter that he said, I wanted to give you a message that in the past there's no mistakes if you learn from them. I hope tonight you have understood that just working from a job is not going to take you to wherever you want. Do not go tomorrow to work and think that that's how you're going to be financially free. Do not make that mistake again. Remember, because if you learn from tonight or from whenever you make that decision, it's not going to be a mistake no more. And I just want to tell you that if this Team Vision has helped us, it's going to help you too. And we know every single person here is a diamond. You just got to believe it. You got to take that decision. You got to make this happen, because there's nothing out there. Believe me, even though we own other businesses, there's no business like this business. Believe me when I tell you that. There's no business that gives you these trips. They pay for everything. It's just something so unbelievable. Imagine what it's going to do for you. Imagine those $3,000 or $4,000. What would you do with that kind of money when you're planning? Imagine your guys' emeralds. Man, the life they live, the freedom. When I was hearing his story, I'm like, oh my God, it sounds similar to the one that we're about to change. My wife's going to share about my mom. You see that in TV, you see this in families, but you never think it's going to happen to you. That's why I tell you, do not make the mistake. Do not waste the time. Do it for your family. Do it for your parents. If you have kids, do it for them. Do it for them. You do not want to repeat the same story that your parents did with you, perhaps, that they inherited you a job. Because I don't know about you, but I do not want my kids to work. I want my kids to go to school and come and tell us, hey, Dad, what's a job? My parents, my friends say that their parents have to go to work tomorrow. That's why they have to go to sleep or early or things like that. I don't know why, but this business is transforming our lives, and it's transformed yours. It's transforming our kids. They want to imitate us, like my wife said, that our son reads and reads and reads and reads. He says, I'm going to be a Crown Founders ambassador. I'm like, damn. But I believe it, because he reads a lot. And that's why we still do this business. We do this business because we want to help other people make their dreams come true. That's why we do this business. We want to help them become financially free. We want to do it because we want our kids to read, to listen, to be different. We don't want them to repeat the same story that we had. This business is for all of you. Thank you, guys. We love you guys in Texas. We want to see you in California. And thank you, guys.